Racing to the Breeders' Cup, now just 24 days away, and today let's take a look and update those Breeders' Cup Classic and Breeders' Cup Distaff fields with the events over this past weekend, starting with the Breeders' Cup Classic. Omaha Beach, where will he run on Breeders' Cup Saturday? Will it be the Sprint, the Dirt Mile, or the Breeders' Cup Classic? Right now, I'm leaning towards probably the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. That seems to make the most sense, especially after the gut-wrenching victory he had on Saturday. That was an impressive effort by both him and Chancelot. They ran fast, and Omaha Beach looked tired in the winner's circle while they were waiting to take the photo taken. It'll be interesting to see how Omaha Beach bounces back off this effort. I would say it's 50-50 that if he even runs on Breeders' Cup Day. That took a lot out of him, and I'm not sure what the upside is. Does he want to face Mitole, a rematch with Chancelot, and get a couple other crack sprinters like Imperial Hint in the Sprint? Best course of action, sometimes just to retire out on top. They've already announced he's going to retire next year, unless they change their mind. Then it would make sense to run more in the Dirt Mile or the Classic. So we'll see where Omaha Beach goes. Meanwhile, McKenzie came back on the track last week along with Higher Power and Seeking the Soul. So those three seem to have exited the Awesome Again Stakes well and seem to be training towards the Breeders' Cup Classic. Meanwhile, still waiting a decision on Mongolian Groom. Will he pay the $200,000 supplemental fee to get into the Classic field? The entry fee is waived with the Win and You're In victory, but they still have to pay the nomination fee, which is $200,000. Meanwhile, Code of Honor looks like he's still going to be running. Have to keep an eye on that one as well. Any type of hiccup, and I think that they'll kind of take another look and redecision on that race. And Tacitus still has not determined if he is going to run. So right now you're looking at a 11-12 horse field. Owendale looks like he is going to point towards the Classic. Everybody was waiting for the decision of War of Will. Boy, everybody was hoping that he would run in the Classic. Meanwhile, we also have got Tax also considering the Classics. So I think people thinking that there is a little bit of a opening, and Owendale kind of fits. We never really got to see him run in the Travers Stakes. He came back with a nice Oklahoma Derby victory. He's a solid mile and an eighth horse, but he's another one. Can he really get that 10 furlongs? Santa Anita played a lot differently this past weekend. It was a lot different than opening weekend. Horses did not seem to be tiring as noticeably, and we'll have to kind of monitor that for the next couple of weeks. But the way the track played this last weekend, it wasn't as front running and it wasn't as demanding of a surface. Meanwhile, for the Distaff division, Paradise Woods looks like she is going to be going. Midnight Bassoux still pointing as the probably prohibitive 2-5, 3-5 favorite. A nice win by Blue Prize in the Spinster, and she fit in this race last year, ran a good race. Also Dunbar Road, rough trip in the Spinster Stakes. She was bottled up the whole race and then had to be stuck at the rail when the outside race flow seemed to be winning most of the weekend. Elate, she looked like a tired horse. Will be interesting to see if she even runs in the Classic or the Distaff. I have a feeling they may just decide not to run unless it's her last race, and they may just throw her in that Distaff just to kind of see where it goes, or maybe the Classic. I guess, like I say, that Classic field is starting to fill up a lot. We've got 11-12 horses kind of pointing for that race, and not sure everybody expected that after the long year. Horses like War of Will and Tax and Owendale entering that field really are starting to cloud up that gate, which means somebody's going to get stuck on the outside. Meanwhile, also, Guarana still under a possibility for the Distaff, and Street Band also adds to the depth of that Distaff division. So that's kind of look at some of the contenders. 24 days away now from the Breeders' Cup, and we'll see how the Classic fields and the Distaff fields shape up after this next weekend of workouts. That's where you'll see some of those final demanding workouts as they prepare for the Breeders' Cup Classic. Who do you like in the Classic and the Distaff? Leave a comment below. Also hit subscribe as we lead you more race videos and previews leading up to the Breeders' Cup. And we'll be previewing all 14 Breeders' Cup races as we get closer to the big dance. That's a look at your Breeders' Cup Classic and Distaff update.